Even if I fail, I have to finish what I started. Think about those words for a moment. They aren't just words. They are a declaration of power, a promise to yourself, and a challenge to the world. Every dream, every goal, every vision you have will demand that kind of courage. Not the kind of courage that comes when it's easy, not the kind of courage that whispers when the path is clear, but the kind of courage that roars when obstacles rise, when doubt knocks at your door, when failure threatens to crush your spirit. Because here's the truth, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Every successful person, every person who has reached the top, has faced moments where it felt impossible, moments where giving up seemed like the easiest option. But they did not stop. They kept going. They finished what they started, and that is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. When you start something, whether it's a business, a relationship, a personal transformation, or a vision for your life, you step into uncertainty. That's the nature of progress. You will stumble. You will face setbacks. People will doubt you. And worst of all, sometimes you will doubt yourself. But if you make a decision today that failure is not your end, but your teacher, then every stumble becomes a lesson, every setback a stepping stone. You begin to see that finishing what you start is more important than being perfect. Finishing is not about how quickly you get there. It's not about applause or recognition. Finishing is about integrity. Finishing is about showing yourself that you are stronger than your fear, bigger than your doubts, and capable of more than you've ever imagined. Every time you push through, every time you rise after a fall, you are proving to yourself that your will is unshakable. Imagine looking back on your life and realizing that you quit just before the breakthrough. Imagine knowing that you let fear win, that you let hesitation steal your dream, that regret cuts deeper than any failure ever could. But imagine, just as vividly, finishing. Imagine the pride, the strength, the growth. Imagine the doors that open when you refuse to give up. Because finishing what you start is not just about the task at hand, it's about becoming the person who never quits, the person who faces fear, the person who dares to see their vision all the way through. So, what will you choose today? Will you let fear decide for you, or will you make a stand? Will you quit when the path gets hard, or will you push through, step by step, until the journey is complete? There is no shame in falling, but there is no glory in leaving your dreams unfinished. Finish for yourself. Finish for the person you are becoming. Finish for the life you deserve. Even if you fail, even if the world says you can't, even if your own mind tells you to stop, you finish. Because finishing is the victory that nobody can take from you. And when you cross that finish line, no matter the outcome, you will know something powerful, that you are unstoppable, that your spirit is unbreakable, and that the life you imagined was always within your reach. Failure is not the end. It is not a permanent stop sign in your life. It is a signal, a guide, and sometimes the only teacher that can show you the path you need to take. Too many people think that failing means they are not capable, that their dreams are impossible, or that their effort is wasted. But every successful person you admire has failed countless times, and each failure has been a stepping stone, a critical part of the journey toward mastery and achievement. Failure is not something to be feared. It is something to be embraced. It is a natural part of the process of growth, a necessary companion on the road to accomplishment. The moment you begin to see failure as a teacher rather than an enemy, everything in your life shifts. You start to approach challenges with curiosity rather than dread, with strategy rather than avoidance. You begin to see that failure does not define you, but your response to it does. Failure gives you feedback. It tells you where you need to improve, what you need to learn, and which strategies are not working. Every time you stumble, every time you face a setback, you gain information that no success could ever give you. Success alone can be deceptive. When everything goes perfectly, it is easy to believe that you are invincible, that your current path is flawless. But failure strips away illusions and forces clarity. It exposes weaknesses that need attention and highlights areas where you can grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. If you refuse to face failure, if you run from it, you miss out on the most powerful lessons of life. You deny yourself the chance to develop the skills and the strength that only come from struggle and perseverance. The fear of failure is what holds most people back. It is the invisible barrier that keeps dreams small and potential unrealized. People are often paralyzed by the idea of failing, imagining worst case scenarios that may never happen. But here is the truth. Failure only has power if you let it. If you view failure as the enemy, it will control your choices, limit your actions, and shrink your vision. If you view failure as part of the process, it becomes a tool, a catalyst, a necessary step toward success. Every great accomplishment was preceded by mistakes, setbacks, and moments when giving up seemed easier. The difference is that those who achieve greatness refuse to see failure as the end. They understand that failure is temporary, that it is informative, and that it can be transformed into momentum if they persist. When you fail, you have a choice. You can quit and let that moment define you, or you can analyze, adapt, and move forward. Those who persist develop resilience, courage, and determination. They learn to take calculated risks, to experiment, and to push boundaries. They embrace the discomfort that comes with trying something new, because they know that comfort does not create progress. The most successful people are not those who avoid failure. They are those who are willing to face it head on, to stumble and rise again, to keep going even when the outcome is uncertain. Failure is the proving ground for character, the measure of your commitment to your vision, and the training field for your future victories. Think about every skill you have mastered, every goal you have achieved, every dream that has come true in your life. Each one of those successes required effort, persistence, and likely many failures along the way. No one achieves greatness without encountering obstacles and setbacks. Failure is simply evidence that you are pushing yourself beyond the boundaries of what you already know, that you are challenging yourself to grow, and that you are willing to pursue your dreams with courage. Without failure, there is no progress, no learning, no transformation. Embracing failure is not easy, but it is essential. It requires a mindset shift, a willingness to see mistakes not as reflections of your worth, but as opportunities for growth. It requires courage to continue when results are not immediate, to keep moving forward when the path is unclear, and to trust that persistence will pay off. Each failure is a building block, a lesson, a chance to refine your strategy, strengthen your skills, and deepen your understanding of yourself and your goals. By embracing failure, you stop fearing it, and by stopping the fear, you unlock the freedom to take action, to experiment, and to reach heights you never thought possible. Finishing what you start is one of the most powerful habits you can develop in life. It is the difference between dreams that remain fantasies and dreams that become reality. So many people begin journeys with excitement and enthusiasm, full of energy and belief, only to stop halfway because the work becomes difficult, the results slow, or the challenges feel too great. Starting is easy. Anyone can begin. But finishing requires strength, discipline, and commitment to something bigger than the fleeting emotions of the moment. It requires a deep understanding that your actions define your character and your legacy, and that abandoning what you start diminishes both. Finishing what you start is a statement of integrity, a proof of personal power, and a demonstration of the unwavering commitment you have to yourself and your vision. When you commit to finishing, you take control of your life. You refuse to let circumstances, obstacles, or self-doubt dictate your outcomes. You stop being a passenger and become the driver of your destiny. Every incomplete project, every half-finished goal, every abandoned dream carries with it a hidden cost. Frustration, regret, and a voice inside your mind that whispers, "I could have done more." That voice grows louder with every unfinished task until it becomes a weight that slows you down in every area of life. By choosing to finish, by refusing to leave things incomplete, you break free from that weight. You step into a place of power where your actions, not your fears, shape your results. Finishing what you start builds momentum. Momentum is one of the most underestimated forces in life. When you take something from beginning to end, you create a cycle of achievement that reinforces itself. Every completed task, every fulfilled commitment strengthens your confidence, sharpens your focus, and increases your ability to tackle even bigger challenges. In contrast, leaving things unfinished creates a cycle of doubt, indecision, and hesitation. Each time you quit, your confidence erodes, your focus weakens, and your ability to take bold action diminishes. Finishing is not just about completing the task at hand. It is about developing the habit of seeing things through, building a mental muscle that allows you to overcome setbacks and keep moving forward no matter what obstacles arise. The act of finishing also develops resilience. When you face challenges, when the work becomes uncomfortable, or when obstacles block your path, finishing requires that you persevere. It teaches you to manage discomfort, to confront fear, and to take consistent action even when the immediate results are not visible. This resilience spills over into every area of life. It improves relationships, strengthens careers, and enhances personal growth. The people who finish what they start are the ones who rarely feel powerless because they have trained themselves to navigate difficulty, stay committed, and follow through even when circumstances are unpredictable. There is also an undeniable sense of satisfaction and pride that comes from finishing. Completing a project, reaching a goal, or bringing a vision to life produces a deep sense of accomplishment that cannot be replicated by starting alone. This satisfaction reinforces your motivation and creates a positive feedback loop that propels you forward into new challenges with confidence. It changes your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through, someone who is dependable, someone who refuses to quit. This identity shift is far more powerful than any temporary success because it alters how you approach every decision, every challenge, and every opportunity in life. Finishing what you start requires focus. In a world full of distractions, options, and opportunities, it is easy to scatter your energy across multiple pursuits. Finishing requires the discipline to prioritize, to eliminate distractions, and to devote your energy to the work that matters most. It is a skill that develops over time, a habit that becomes stronger with practice. Each time you resist the urge to quit, each time you push past fatigue, doubt, or fear, you reinforce the belief that your goals are worth seeing through. Finishing is also about honoring your word. When you start something, whether it is a personal goal, a business endeavor, or a commitment to another person, finishing shows that your word matters, that your promises are reliable, and that you are someone who can be trusted. Integrity is built in the small, consistent actions, and completing what you start demonstrates integrity in its purest form. It is a reflection of who you are, not just what you do, and it influences how others perceive you, trust you, and support you in your journey. Fear and doubt are natural parts of life, but they are not meant to stop you. They are signals, not roadblocks, and understanding this is one of the most powerful shifts you can make in your mindset. Every person who has achieved something remarkable has faced fear and doubt in some form. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stagnant is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. Fear is a test of your courage. Doubt is a challenge to your belief in yourself. When you feel that inner resistance, when your mind whispers that you cannot succeed, that the task is too hard, or that the timing is wrong, that is the moment when your commitment is being measured. Choosing to move forward anyway is the hallmark of growth, strength, and achievement. Fear often appears as uncertainty, hesitation, or anxiety. It is your mind's way of warning you that you are stepping outside your comfort zone, and that is exactly where transformation occurs. Growth never happens within the safety of the familiar. Every time you take a step into the unknown, every time you challenge yourself to do something you have never done before, fear shows up. The key is not to eliminate fear, because that is impossible, but to embrace it as a guide, a signal that you are moving in the right direction. Doubt functions in a similar way. It challenges your beliefs, forces you to evaluate your decisions, and compels you to clarify your goals. If you allow doubt to dominate your actions, you remain stuck, limited by the very thing that could propel you forward. If you learn to harness doubt as a tool, it becomes a source of clarity, motivation, and focus. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. Every act of courage begins with a choice to face the discomfort, to act despite uncertainty, and to continue even when the outcome is unclear. The first time you act in the face of fear, it feels terrifying, and yet, with each successive step, your confidence grows. The moments that feel the most difficult, that challenge you to your core, are often the moments that define your life. When fear and doubt appear, recognize them as invitations, opportunities to prove to yourself that your potential is greater than your limitations. The people who accomplish great things do not wait for fear to disappear. They move forward while it exists. They learn to control it rather than be controlled by it. Action is the antidote to fear. When you take decisive steps toward your goals, when you refuse to let fear dictate your decisions, you create momentum. Momentum diminishes the power of doubt because it replaces hesitation with progress. Each action builds evidence of your capability, and the accumulation of these actions builds belief in yourself. This is why small, consistent steps are so powerful. Every time you confront fear with action, you are not just moving closer to your goal. You are rewiring your mind to see challenges as opportunities, obstacles as lessons, and doubt as a temporary visitor rather than a permanent resident. Fear and doubt are also reminders of what matters most. They appear when you care deeply, when the outcome has significance, and when the stakes are real. If you never feel fear, it may be a sign that you are not challenging yourself enough, that your life has become predictable, comfortable, and stagnant. True fulfillment, extraordinary achievement, and personal growth are found in those moments when you step into the discomfort and prove to yourself that you are stronger than the fears that arise. Every time you confront doubt and push past it, you expand your capacity to handle greater challenges, to dream bigger, and to take bolder action. Belief in yourself is the foundation that allows fear and doubt to be conquered. You cannot eliminate challenges, but you can strengthen your mind, your focus, and your resolve. When you cultivate an unshakable belief that your goals are achievable and that your efforts matter, fear loses its power. Doubt becomes a tool for reflection rather than a weapon of discouragement. You learn to see challenges as temporary, failures as lessons, and discomfort as the doorway to growth. Every step forward, every decision to act in spite of fear, reinforces this belief and moves you closer to the person you are capable of becoming. Regret comes from quitting, not from failing. Think about that for a moment. People often fear failure more than anything else, and yet the real pain, the deep, lingering sorrow, comes from leaving things unfinished, from abandoning dreams, and from walking away from opportunities that mattered most. Failure is temporary. It teaches you lessons, strengthens your character, and sets the stage for future success. Regret, however, lingers. It gnaws at your confidence, undermines your potential, and creates a silent burden that follows you for years, sometimes decades, if you allow it. Quitting leaves behind a trail of what-ifs that echo in your mind and heart. These echoes are heavier than any temporary setback you may face. Every time you quit, every time you walk away from a goal or a dream because the journey became difficult, you reinforce a pattern. Your mind begins to associate discomfort with surrender. You start believing that challenges are signals to stop rather than opportunities to grow. This pattern becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you quit, the easier it becomes, and the more likely you are to abandon even your most important ambitions. Regret does not come from trying and failing. It comes from never trying at all or from leaving your potential unrealized. Every unfinished project, every abandoned pursuit, every dream that fades because fear or doubt took over carries with it a subtle but powerful sting that can remain hidden until much later, often when it is too late to act. Regret is not just emotional, it is also practical. Every opportunity you leave behind represents potential that will never be realized, lessons you will never learn, and experiences you will never have. By quitting, you deny yourself the growth that comes from perseverance. You rob yourself of the satisfaction that comes from seeing something through, the sense of accomplishment that can only be felt when you bring a vision to life. The choices to quit create a gap between who you are and who you could have become. Each of these gaps compounds over time, shaping a life that may feel incomplete or unsatisfying, regardless of external success. Contrast this with failure. Failure is a natural part of progress. It is a sign that you are pushing boundaries, stepping out of comfort zones, and challenging yourself in ways that matter. Failure teaches resilience, problem solving, and creativity. It forces you to reevaluate strategies, refine your skills, and grow in ways that success alone cannot provide. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not immune to failure, they embrace it. They understand that falling short is temporary, that mistakes are tools, and that persistence is the bridge between setbacks and triumph. They experience failure, learn from it, and keep moving forward, while avoiding the deeper, more lasting pain of regret that comes from quitting. Regret is the product of inaction. It comes from allowing fear, doubt, or discomfort to dictate your choices. When you quit, you reinforce the idea that your dreams are negotiable, that your efforts are optional, and that your vision can be abandoned when the journey is tough. Regret reminds you that your potential was left on the table, that opportunities slipped away, and that your own commitment to yourself was compromised. Unlike failure, which often teaches and strengthens, regret lingers as a reminder of what could have been. It becomes a weight that influences future decisions, often making you hesitant to act again because of the memory of giving up. By understanding this, you can reframe how you approach challenges. You begin to see that persistence is not just about reaching a goal. It is about avoiding the silent, invisible pain of regret. Each time you choose to continue despite difficulty, doubt, or fear, you protect yourself from that lingering burden. You build a life of integrity, strength, and fulfillment, finishing what you start, pursuing your dreams with tenacity, and refusing to quit in the face of adversity ensures that you will not have to look back and wonder what might have been. The choice between failure and regret is clear. Failure is temporary, educational, and ultimately empowering. Regret is lasting, limiting, and quietly destructive. Every step forward, every challenge met with courage, every obstacle overcome, decreases the chances of regret and increases the likelihood of fulfillment. Quitting may offer temporary relief from discomfort, but it guarantees a long-term reminder of what was abandoned, what was possible, and what could have been achieved. By committing to push through, to persevere, and to finish what you start, you break the cycle of regret and replace it with confidence, growth, and the pride that comes from living in alignment with your highest potential. Persistence transforms dreams into reality. It is the force that separates those who imagine from those who achieve, the invisible power that turns ideas into accomplishments, and the consistent energy that bridges the gap between vision and action. Many people have dreams, but dreams alone are not enough. Without persistent effort, without the daily commitment to push forward despite obstacles, Visions remain fantasies, and potential remains untapped. Persistence is not about perfection, nor is it about immediate results. It is about the relentless willingness to continue, to rise after setbacks, to adjust strategies without abandoning the goal, and to embrace the process as much as the outcome. When you persist, you send a powerful signal to your mind, body, and environment. You are telling yourself that your dreams matter, that your goals are worth the effort, and that nothing, failure, criticism, or doubt will derail your commitment. Persistence strengthens your focus because each action you take builds evidence of your capability. Each obstacle you overcome reinforces the belief that you are resilient, that challenges are temporary, and that every setback is a setup for a comeback. Over time, this consistent action creates momentum, and momentum is one of the most powerful forces in life. Once you are moving forward with determination, resistance becomes easier to manage, opportunities become clearer, and your path becomes illuminated by the energy of progress. Persistence also develops resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. Without persistence, these challenges can feel insurmountable. With persistence, they become tests of your determination, opportunities to grow stronger, and lessons that sharpen your skills and character. Each time you push through discomfort, fatigue, or doubt, you build the mental and emotional capacity to handle increasingly difficult situations. This resilience spills into every area of life: relationships, career, health, and personal development. The more you persist, the more confident you become in your ability to navigate uncertainty, and the less likely you are to be controlled by fear or hesitation. Another aspect of persistence is its ability to transform failure into progress. Every failure, every misstep, every mistake carries within it the seed of growth. Persistent people do not allow these moments to define them negatively. They extract lessons, refine strategies, and continue moving forward with greater insight. Persistence transforms what could have been setbacks into stepping stones. It is the act of refusing to be defeated by circumstances and using every experience, positive or negative, as fuel for further action. The most successful individuals in every field have relied on this principle. They did not succeed on the first attempt, nor the second, nor even the 10th. They succeeded because they persisted long after others would have quit, long after the excitement faded, long after the comfort of stopping became appealing. Persistence also builds character. It shapes the person you become along the journey as much as it shapes the outcomes you achieve. A persistent person develops discipline, patience, and an unwavering commitment to their values and vision. They learn to manage frustration, to embrace effort as a necessary part of growth, and to find satisfaction in progress, not just completion. This inner strength becomes a foundation for every other achievement because it is based on consistent action, proven resilience, and a refusal to allow external circumstances to dictate internal determination. Furthermore, persistence creates opportunities. When you continue moving forward, doors open that were previously invisible. People notice reliability, dedication, and unwavering commitment. Unexpected connections arise, resources become available, and solutions appear because persistence has a way of aligning effort with opportunity. Many breakthroughs occur not because of luck, but because someone refused to quit, refused to give up on the vision, and continued moving forward when others stopped. Finally, persistence reinforces belief in yourself. Each action, each small victory, each step forward confirms that your goals are achievable, that your effort matters, and that your potential is real. It builds a confidence that is unshakable because it is rooted in experience, not just hope. When you persist, you prove to yourself that you are capable, that obstacles are temporary, And that consistent action, no matter how small, compounds over time to create extraordinary results. Persistence transforms not only what you do, but who you become, allowing you to bridge the gap between what you dream and what you achieve.